Ketanji Brown Jackson, let's start with her. Do you think she was fairly treated by those Republican senators?
No, I don't. Something that's changed in my view in the way Supreme Court nominees are handled now is the old rule used to be if you were the party that was out of power, the minority party, not the party holding the White House, but a nominee came up and that nominee was qualified and not completely extremist, you would vote yes. Justice Scalia got in something like 98 or 99-0. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was something like 96-3. So what seems to be happening now with Judge, and I think soon to be Justice Jackson, is everybody agrees she's qualified. I've not heard any serious person say in any serious matter she's not qualified. What people are doing now is a combination of some Republicans are trying to grandstand and just get a TV moment by asking her questions that have absolutely nothing to do with their job. And she's done a very good job of displaying judicial restraint and saying that's not a question for me as a judge. And I think also just trying to score political points by just saying no. And both sides do this now. Democrats vote no on qualified Republican nominees just for political reasons. Justice Gorsuch was certainly qualified. I think Amy Coney Barrett was qualified, but virtually every Democrat voted against them. And Republicans are doing the same against Judge Jackson, not exactly for the same reasons and in the same way, but the same bottom line.
Well, what about her downward departure from sentencing guidelines in child pornography cases? Is that a serious problem?
No, I think that was a overhyped, miscast attack on Judge Jackson. So, Jim, as you know, in the federal sentencing system, there is a set of guidelines. It's a thick book that all AUSAs, I used to carry it around to every court appearance. And you have to calculate based on the type of offense and based on the offender's prior crimes, you end up with a number. It's actually, there's a grid and you say, okay, his criminal history is this, the offense level is this, and therefore the offense range. And it gives you a range, 78 to 97 months, 18 to 24 months, what have you. That is very important, but it's not binding and it's not mandatory. And in fact, judges often, about half the time, go below that range in all cases. But if you look at this specific narrow category of child pornography possession cases, we're not talking about molestation cases. We're not talking about creation of child pornography. What they were focused on was only possession of child pornography. 59% of all sentences in those cases end up below the guidelines because there is a fairly broad, not unanimous, but a fairly broad consensus across the judiciary, regardless of whether the judge was put on the bench by a Republican or a Democrat, that in those cases, the guidelines tend to be too high. I don't necessarily agree, but a lot of judges do agree. And it is in the majority of those cases, defendants get sentenced below the guidelines. And Judge Jackson did just that in many, but not all of her cases. So I didn't see that as a big deal. I think that that was done in an exploitative and sensationalistic way by some of the Republican senators.
Well, Senator Hawley, it seemed to me, did everything but slap her face.
I mean, look, he's grandstanding and he's looking, there was nothing of substance really to attack. And he's going for a moment. He's trying to create a soundbite, but he really didn't succeed. If you watch the exchanges, Judge Jackson did a very good job, A, keeping cool, right? I mean, talk about a judicial demeanor. She was totally unflappable, but B, explaining you in Congress, respectfully, gave us judges the factors that we are to consider. And in every case, I went meticulously through those factors based on the specifics of those cases. And that's really exactly what you want a judge to do.
So you think she ought to be confirmed?
I do. I think I would vote for her regardless of my ideology or party affiliation because A, she is qualified, and B, she is not an extremist of any variety. And I think that's all that one can ask for, I think.